See if this works. Try that again. Okay. All right. Go ahead and screenshot this so you have the graphics for today's live. As we prepare this morning, we're going to just practice some emotional regulation. We're going to take 3 deep cleansing breaths starting right now. Okay. Good morning. I am Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers, Dr. Donna Louise Thomas-Rodgers, daughter of Leslie Darnell Thomas, granddaughter of Arthur Jethro Evelyn II, and great-granddaughter of Levi Thomas. Welcome to your morning mental workout. Today we are going to be discussing the principle of real leadership. Say thank you. It is the 24th principle in chronological order of the 74 principles of real leadership. I would be remiss if I did not remind you to hydrate, drink water. Even if you've just woken up, your body went to sleep and it worked while you slept. And according to Dr. Bing on TikTok, neurologist, he said that our brain is 75% water. As a result, we need to hydrate. We need to keep it hydrated. If you say I'm thirsty, you're already 2 minutes not 2 minutes. If you already say I'm thirsty, you are 2% dehydrated. Good morning, Lola. If I mispronounce any words today, it has been happening over the last couple days. Thank you, perimenopause. I will do my best to correct myself. However, it is just part of transitioning into phase 3 of my life. Okay. There's one thing that I'd like to discuss before we get into this. I had to turn my tablet off. Here we go. Here are my notes for today. Let's get that party started. I did a lesson out of my neuroscience course this morning. We were talking about synapses because it's neurons, brains, synapses, neurons, and the brain. And so I had a very good lesson this morning. And what we talked about, or what he talked about, what I learned is more about the learning environment. So the structural and functional difference of the brain, and what happens with you when you learn something quickly, when you have an interaction. And so we're looking at the cellular level, at the dendrite trees and the axons, everything that I explained when I was talking about synapses. So I was very excited to know that in a learning environment, in a challenging environment, that connectivity takes place, and it can take place for minutes, it can take place for seconds, but then it can also take place and you use it for the rest of your life. So I was very grateful for that. And then I went on Instagram to post in my 2 broadcast channels, and I saw an axon with a dendrite tree, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is reinforcing what I just learned. And then I read the comment, the description. And the description was for, once again, the industry focusing on the diseased brain and everything else. It was talking about how this new scientific work was going to help with antidepressant medicine and antipsychotic medication. And so again, I am at a loss. I am at a loss because the industries are still focused on the diseased brain and not on making it better, just making it numb, just medicating it and making it numb. And so I am working through that feeling of excitement in my class, but then no excitement when I saw what was taking place on Instagram. And it really is easier to focus on the diseased brain. The negativity bias allows you to keep focusing on what is not. And that's simple. But to take this information and say, how do we create better human beings? How do we use this information, put it in the hands of the people who have brains, and say, I can learn how to use my brain so I can become my best? That gap is enormous. It's so enormous. So we just keep researching the diseased brain. Just keep researching the diseased brains, the problems. And I mentioned this on a live about a week ago, and Regina recognized that. Good morning, Regina. That all they're focusing on is the diseased brain because they have negativity bias too. Their brains are wired for negativity. So even when it sounds like it's this cutting edge research, the cutting edge research is to fix the broken parts of the brain instead of using the brain as it was designed, which is this magnificent organ that has the potential to create 860 trillion synaptic connections. Even in 2025, we're still focused on the diseased, dysfunctional brain. And I hope that in my lifetime, God willing, I can change that. I can change that because I was very excited. And I saw that post and I was trying to explain to Nola. She was like, so are we happy? Are we sad? What's happening? And I'm like, it's just more of the same. It literally is focus on a diseased brain because that's simpler. What's wrong with the brain? Instead, or how can we take the brain and make AI? But not let's fix, let's support the 6 billion adults in the world so they can start using their brain. Nope, not going to do that. We're going to keep doing all this research in animals and everything else. And then we're going to use AI to make people kind of better. So that's where we are this morning. At any rate, we are going to be talking about say thank you. And that is the 24th of the 74 principles of real leadership. And so the Dr. Donna quote for this is, 2 words that mean so much and need to be used frequently are thank you. And we're going to start, the format is going to be a little bit different today because it is something as simple as say thank you. So we're going to look at where is the origin of the word thank you, and then who started it, where did it originate, the definition, and then go into the benefits of it, but from a different perspective. Okay, so the definition of thank you is this. Thank you is a polite expression used to show gratitude, appreciation, or acknowledgement for something for something someone has done, given, or said. So you are actually saying thank you because of something that someone has done, has given you, or has said to you. Now, definition is the thank you phrase is a courteous expression of gratitude. So when we're talking about thank you, we're in the gratitude emotions in our brain or lack thereof. And so examples of thank you are thank you for your help, thank you for your gift, no thank you, I'm fine. And so then I asked, well, who invented the word thank you? And I think I might have this as a daily. I can't remember. I got like 700, 800 dailies. It's in your dailies. So I can't remember if I was going to do it or I didn't do it. But the phrase thank you comes from the Old English word pasinia, and that means to give thanks or to be grateful. And it evolved from the Proto-Germanic roots and is related to words in other German languages like Old High German, so it's Danken, Dutch Danken, and then German Danke. And then you can say Danke schön, which is thank you very much. Now, who invented it? There isn't a single person who invented the word. Instead, it's gradually developed through centuries of language and evolution. And as societies evolved, so did language. And expressions of gratitude became culturally important. Thank you, as a 2-word phrase, began appearing in English around the 15th century. So basically, thank you came about is to express gratitude for something someone said, gave you, or done. And they can trace it back to German roots, but not really one individual person to say who actually invented the word thank you. But there's also who invented the word no. I know that's one of the dailies as well. And to go back to research that is quite amazing. Now, so what questions do you have about the definition of thank you, why it's used, and what it's based in? And if it's clear, let me know and we will continue on. Okay, no questions. All right. Neuroscience insight for gratitude and thank you. When you say or receive thank you, it activates several brain regions and neurochemical responses with positive emotions, connections, and well being. And neurochemical responses, I thought, wow, that's an interesting phrase. Let me see what that means. So, neurochemical responses are how the brain and the nervous system react by releasing neurochemicals such as neurotransmitters, we know dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, hormones, and neuromodulators in response to a stimuli. So it's a thought, emotion, or environment. And these responses influence how we think, feel, or behave. So when you are receiving a neurochemical response, it's going to impact how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. So, for example, if you're having a wonderful day and then all of a sudden you get a text message or you get a response for somebody is emailing you, knocking on your door, you're at work, someone shows up at your desk or your cubicle and they interact with you. That is a neurochemical interaction and it's going to impact how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. That's what's actually taking place. And so, in addition to that, you're also going to have let me see, one second, I'll write it down. Yes, neuromodulators. So, I did some research on neuromodulators, and I believe that that's going to be the brain bit for tomorrow because it was also some interesting information. But that's what's taking place when you hear thank you. So if you hear thank you and you feel something, when it's a sincere thank you, you're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And it is because it is actually part of a neurochemical response that's taking place. That's why thank you is important, especially when someone is grateful for whatever, whether you've done it or you're on the receiving end of it and you say thank you or you hear thank you, there is this neural connection that is taking place from this very simple two-word phrase, thank you. So the key brain regions involved. Number one is the prefrontal cortex, and it engages in emotional regulation and social reasoning, and it helps process the meaning and intent behind gratitude. So when you hear it and when you feel it, the prefrontal cortex is processing that. Next is the anterior cingulate cortex, and this is involved in empathy and decision making in social situations. And what happens is it strengthens your understandings of others' emotions. So when you are in an environment, you are paying attention to things, and now you can understand the high level of feelings that people have, the low level, the intensity, the hypervigilance that we talked about yesterday. So now you're able to understand what's actually taking place and the gratitude. Sometimes you can just be at an event and you could just hear and feel the gratitude from people. Next is the ventral striatum, and it is also the nucleus accumbens, and it's part of the brain's reward system. This is activated when receiving appreciation. It releases dopamine and a feel good chemical. So you do something for someone and they say thank you. Now you have that release of dopamine that's happening. So they're grateful, they're releasing dopamine, you're receiving it. And so you are grateful too, because now you're like, wow, I did something. Someone said thank you. This means so much. And so there is this neurochemical exchange. And then finally, the insula. So the insula helps you feel emotional resonance of the warmth of sincere gratitude. You can tell, you can feel it when someone says thank you. Thanks. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. What we experience for NOLA is that people, when we do something, they say thank you so much. Now, I'm not quite sure where it originated, but it's not the same as when somebody says, oh my God, we do a organization. We just did an organization the other day, and the young lady walked in the room and she was like, oh my God, thank you so much. How did you do this? How did you? That's different than thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's not the same thing. So there isn't this emotional, actual, true, genuine, gratitudinal exchange. It's more of a courtesy. So I'm not talking about that thank you. When you go to a grocery store and the person just says, thank you, have a good day. Thank you for coming in. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a good day. Thank you. That's not the same. But if someone says, oh my goodness, thank you. Last week we went to our favorite coffee bean and tea leaf, and Arlie was there. She came in later and we getting ready to leave. And she was like, oh my goodness, see you guys later. Thank you so much. It was a different than the manager, general manager who was there, who was just saying thank you. So it's definitely different. Okay, got it. So you want the exchange to be genuine, whether you're saying it or you're on the receiving end of it. That's when there's an actual neurochemical exchange, and that's when the dopamine is released and the gratitude on both sides actually is taking place. So here are some of, so what questions do you have about the brain regions that are involved when you hear thank you or when it is said to you? It's the prefrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate cortex, the ventral striatum, and the nucleus accumbens and the insula. What questions do you have? Okay. No questions? All right. So here are the brain benefits to saying thank you. We know over here, we're not going to do something neurologically where there isn't actually going to be a neurological benefit. As a result, the here are the brain benefits. Number one, it boosts mood. So it releases dopamine and serotonin. It releases dopamine and serotonin, and so it boosts your mood. Next, it strengthens your relationships. So, what it does is it activates social bonding circuits. So, for example, even though we both live in the same house, when Nola goes to sleep, the kitchen is clean. She wakes up, I will say thank you for starting the dishwasher. Thank you for cleaning the kitchen. Because even though it's a routine task, the gratitude is still there because when I come down to the kitchen in the morning, I need to be able to make my snack. And there have been times in the past where she fell asleep, forgot, and now the kitchen isn't clean. And so now I have to do some cleaning before I can actually start to prepare my snack. So I am grateful for that because of all the things that I have to do from 3 o'clock in the morning until 5:30. The kitchen being clean helps me produce and do what I need to do to be prepared for the live at 5:30. So it activates this social, wow, you value me and appreciate me. Oftentimes you are in relationships with people, whether it's personal or professional, and they never say thank you. They don't express any gratitude for the efforts that you put forth, and that makes you feel bad. And so now you say, I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel valued. I work so hard, all these things I do, and it's not being appreciated or valued. Okay. Next is it reduces stress. Really? Yes. It lowers your cortisol and activates the parasympathetic system. And your parasympathetic system is responsible for your body's rest and digest. So it's responsible for you relaxing and recovering. So by saying thank you, you are actually reducing the amount of stress that is taking place because there isn't this cortisol moment. There isn't, I did this and now nobody appreciates me, so I got all this cortisol going on. That's not what's taking place. When people say thank you, when you hear it and when you say it, there is this release and you get to express gratitude to someone, or you're on the receiving end of someone's sincere, actual, real gratitude. Next benefit is that it improves empathy. So it enhances activity in emotional processing areas. And so because you are actually feeling it or saying it, it is allowing you to process gratitude at a better, higher level. And then the final thing is that it builds resilience. So you train your brain to notice the positive. You actually are looking for things to be thankful for and to be grateful for in your home, in your life, in your interactions with other people, in the weather. I just posted a post the other day that on I think I did it on the Real Leader Brand or YouTube somewhere, and I basically said rain means it's time to reflect. When it rains, and I'm not talking about a hurricane or a tsunami, you gotta go seek cover, but just a natural rainy day, that is time for you to stop, pause, get in your default mode network, and reflect. So every time it rains, and Regina, you're in Florida, and so hurricane season is from May to doggone November or somewhere around there. It's a long time. So when that rainy season shows up and it rains, just remind your brain, it's just time to reflect. I'm going to just sit down in my default mode network and I'm going to reflect. And so you're training your brain to see even rain, even snow, even ice. All of these things, you can find a way to be thankful and grateful in those moments, and that builds your resilience so that when something catastrophic actually occurs, you can just go into gratitude mode. You can just be thankful that you have the neurological capabilities to see the situation for what it is. So those are the brain benefits. It's going to boost mood, strengthen your relationships, reduce stress, improve empathy, and build resilience. What questions do you have about the 5 brain benefits to simply saying and meaning thank you, or being able to receive a thank you? Because sometimes you can't even receive the thank you, which is what I'm getting ready to get into here momentarily. So questions, is it clear? Okay. So here is the brain fact for today. It's different than the brain bit. This is just part of the thank you. Brain fact. saying thank you is like doing a mini workout for your social brain. It reinforces trust, connection, and optimism, essentially for your own mental well being. Once again, surprised that there are brain benefits. I know. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? So appreciation is part of your survival. No, appreciation is part of you creating synaptic connections in your brain to create more and more reasons to be grateful. So it's allowing you to strengthen your own brain. That's what it's actually doing. It's strengthening your brain. So your question as a need as a part of survival is an indication that you are in a negativity bias concept. So this is about creating a more positive approach to your life. It's not for survival, it's for thrival. It's for getting to a higher level, being able to get closer to creating 860 trillion synaptic connections. So that's a hypervigilant statement that you're making because you're looking for something to be wrong. And so in that question, instead of that question, to rephrase that question is, how can I become more enlightened? How can I create a better existence? Is how you would then use say thank you. So it's about becoming your best. Over here, it's about becoming your best. It's not about fighting against some fictitious enemy that other crazy humans have created, but about having an actual better existence. So again, you are coming from a place of lack. So everything that you are saying right now is coming from a negative place. So what you're saying is negative. So the question that could be asked is, how do I create a better existence? And you do that neurologically by saying thank you more, by being grateful, by receiving thank yous and giving more thank yous creates a better existence. So hopefully you understand. You're still asking questions with negativity bias. So rephrase the question. How can I have a positive, better existence on the daily basis? That's rephrasing the question. And the answer to that is thank you. That's the answer. Okay. So now, what regions of the brain are impacted when you don't hear or say thank you? When you don't hear or say thank you, the brain misses out on activating key areas that support the connection, reward, empathy, and emotional regulation. Over time, this can subtly impact mental and relational well-being. So here are the regions that are impacted in the absence of gratitude, aka thank you. The prefrontal cortex. So it reduces activation for empathy, reflection, and emotional regulation. If you don't hear thank you, you pop off. The right amygdala is ready, large and in charge, and ready to go. Move out of the way. I got this. They don't say thank you. And you don't have empathy. You don't have reflection. So when you sit in your default mode network, you are not reflecting. You are daydreaming. You are being hypervigilant and you are mind wandering. But what you're not doing is having self-reflection. So when you are not saying thank you and you can't receive it, that's a reflection of you. It has nothing to do with anybody else. Now, next is the anterior cingulate cortex. And what happens is when it doesn't receive thank you or say it or hear it, it's weakened social awareness and there is conflict resolution. So because of that, there is this conflict that's going to take place because there is a lack of gratitude. There is a lack of thanks. So that connectivity isn't there. Next is the ventral striatum and the nucleus accumbens. And that's normally our reward system when your brain is functioning as it was designed. So there's decreased dopamine release, less reward or joy from social interactions. And so any interactions, and when I'm saying social interactions, I'm not just saying you're out and about socializing. It's anytime you are interacting with other people. So you could be at your house interacting with your family. You could be talking to your neighbor. Any human interactions can be considered a social interaction. And because there's this lack of gratitude, there's this lack of thanks, you're not going to receive this dopamine, this natural dopamine instead of this manufactured external dopamine that everybody keeps seeking every day, and it's not working. So it has to come from within. It's up here. It's not wired for it. So wire fire, that connectivity is not there. So that the synaptic connections, that release of that dopamine from the postsynaptic to the pre to the post is not going to take place. So that release of dopamine is not going to occur. Next is the insula. So there's going to be a diminished ability to feel internal warmth, compassion, or resonance. So it's not even going to resonate with you. You won't be able to feel it because your brain is not wired for it. So it's not going to happen. You're not going to feel this, oh my goodness, this was amazing. Thank you so much. Sometimes your hand just naturally goes to your heart when you're extremely grateful. You might get choked up. You might be at a loss for words, and that won't happen if you're not seeing and saying and hearing thank you. And then finally, the amygdala. Can't avoid and amygdala go together. There's like, peanut butter and jelly. You avoiding some shit. What the amygdala do? As soon as you avoid it, just go ahead and check the amygdala. The amygdala like, we're not doing that. Oh no, I'm good. Wait, we're going to fight, flight, freeze, or appease, but we're going to avoid that at all costs. At all costs. We're not doing that. So anytime I say avoid, know that the chances of me saying amygdala attached to it is 99.9999% that the amygdala is involved. And so the amygdala may become overactive, linked to negativity, bias, stress, and suspicion. Nah, I don't trust it. They too nice. Why they so nice? Nah, they up to something. Nope, they want something from me. That's what the amygdala is like. Don't believe it. Now the gut brain is like, no, they cool. But the amygdala like, I don't trust it. They too nice. They too nice. Ain't nobody that nice. They up to something. So the dopamine comes from stimulation. The dopamine is released when two neurons connect together, and it creates an excitable interaction. Then dopamine is released that way. Now you can have manufactured dopamine. So if you watch a football game, you go to a concert, you watch somebody fighting or getting in trouble, you can be addicted to negative dopamine. And that's what doom scrolling is. So when you look on social media and you see nothing but negative, you're still there is a release of dopamine, and you get addicted to that. And so that's why at the beginning of the live, all of the people who were typing things in and they weren't getting the attention, they were looking for a dopamine boost from me. So when it's manufactured, you want it from an external source. So you need to pick a fight. You need to go make somebody feel bad. And then you get that. And then I go, get off my live. And they go, woo, thank you for that hit, Dr. Donna. I appreciate that. But the problem with that dopamine is that it's not sustainable. And so you have to do it again. So you have to go fuck with somebody else. You got to go pick on somebody else. You got to go look at something negative. And so it's almost like an addict in that's addicted to drugs. But when you do it naturally, when you create your own synaptic connections neurologically, there is this sustained distribution of dopamine for everything that you do. So your neurological system, your nucleus accumbens, automatically releases the dopamine because it's rewarding you for doing positive things. So the negative dopamine is coming from an external source. So you got to do something bad to somebody else and you get that release of dopamine, but you don't feel good. For a moment you do. It's like crack. You feel good, then you don't. Then you got to do it again. So it's happening because the brain is hardwired for negativity bias. That's why people are always fighting and arguing. Love dramatic TV. I love, oh my God, the Housewives, whatever. And ESPN, did they do the? And so you become extremely addicted to that, but your life isn't positive. You're not at your best because it's negative dopamine transference. Yes. And so what you want is a natural, consistent flow of dopamine. So when you start to learn how your brain functions and that you are completely responsible for a natural dopamine release, now you can keep doing that and you don't need to go anywhere. You're bringing the dopamine with you. Wherever you take your dopamine with you, wherever you go, and it's a natural dopamine release. It feels better and it makes the brain, it keeps rewarding you to do bigger and better things. So that other way, synaptic connections is what is called when the dopamine is released. Yes, it's SYNAP, synapse, SYNAPTIC. And it's synaptic connections or synapses. But that's what's happening. And if you want to look it up, it's called Hebb's Law, HEBBS law. And it's wire fire. So when a neuron fires, it's fire wire. Yes, synaptic, correct. Fire wire. When they fire and it's excitable enough, they connect, you create that neural pathway, and you do it again and again and again. Excuse me, that creates a habit in the basal ganglia. So you have good habits and bad habits. So we are hardwired for negativity bias because of survival techniques way back in the day. And now there are no more saber-toothed tigers, but the brain is still wired for it. It's called hypervigilance. And so you wake up every day looking for a threat, even if there isn't a threat there. So what you have to do is prune the negativity bias, get rid of that, because synaptic connections are use it or lose it. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. And then you have to create new neural synaptic connections, which is what I teach you how to do, how to use your brain as it was designed, because you have 86 billion neurons. And that means each neuron has the potential to create 10,000 synaptic connections. When you run the math, you have the ability to create over 860 trillion synaptic connections. So you are a trillionaire when it comes to your brain. That's how that goes. Okay. So that's the neuroscience insight, is that in not expressing or receiving thanks can leave the brain in a more defensive, disconnected, or emotionally flat state. And I like that term. I forgot about that when I was looking at my notes. So give me 1 second. Especially over time. And that's how you find people not being able to say thank you or receive thank you, because they haven't. And now the brain is just wired and it becomes defensive, disconnected, and emotionally flat. What questions do you have about what happens when people don't hear about my pleasure? When people don't hear thank you? And I'm going to flip, and God, higher power in the universe willing, look at the top and the middle graphics. Hopefully I don't go away. YouTube, please work. All right, so you can see at the top, that's what happens when people are in gratitude. And then the second one in the middle, the biggest picture, is impacted in the absence of gratitude. So those are the neurological regions of the brain that are impacted. And you don't think about something as simple, as small as the word thank you, but look at the different regions. And if you think about how many synaptic connections are not connecting in those regions that can't be highly functioning, you'll see why people end up being emotionally flat. Let's see if I can come back. Yes, thank you. All right. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful right now that I did not get kicked out and had to come back in. Whoo, thank you. Thank you, YouTube. I was about to say TikTok. So why do people avoid saying thank you? I'm glad you asked that question, Nola. People may avoid saying thank you for a variety of psychological, social, or neurological reasons. Some are intentional, others are unconscious, but here's the breakdown. Number one is lack of emotional awareness. So low interoception. They may not notice the emotional significance of a kind act. And it's also linked to an underactive insula or poor emotional self-awareness. I grew up in the hood, and there are things that you don't do in the hood, and saying thank you is one of them, because if you start saying thank you to people, they think you're weak and they pounce on you, and next thing you know, you are not yourself anymore. So that is not a place where you grow up saying thank you. But I also grew up in a household with my mom. You can't say thank you. You better say thank you. But did they say thank you? She didn't stop talking to people because they didn't say thank you for her doing something that perhaps they didn't ask for or whatever. She just decided she was going to do something. So for her, thank you was and is still very important. But if you grew up in a household where you didn't hear it, it didn't happen, a neighborhood, an environment, it didn't happen, then your insula is underactivated and it's not even going to be able to process it. Next is the one that occurs quite often, and it is entitlement or ego. The Price of Privilege is a great book. It's about rich kids and how they are raised, and they do the comparison to children that are in underserved economic status and rich kids, and their upbringing is virtually the same. A psychiatrist actually did the research herself and noticed that there was an actual difference, that there wasn't a difference. So entitlement or ego. They may expect help thinking it's owed to them. So you have a person that's just like, of course you're going to help me. I'm me. Or you have that one family member that everybody has to help, and they're down on their luck. They never say thank you. And it is because they are entitled. I am impoverished. I can't read. I'm the one who had a hard time. I'm the one with 7 kids. Y'all got to help me. Y'all got to help me. And there is this, you owe me because you do. And it can stem from narcissistic traits or low prefrontal cortex reflection. Either way, people are not going to say thank you because of their ego or their entitlement. You give rich kids, if you're rich, wealthy, and you keep giving your children everything and over and over and over again, and they're just not grateful and they're not thankful, and you say, my kids just don't appreciate it. One day we were in the bank many years ago, and I was talking to a gentleman. We were waiting in line, and he said, my children, the only time my children call me is for money. Other than that, I don't hear from them. And I said, well, that's unfortunate. And I changed the trajectory of the conversation. This was even pre-COVID when I was having a conversation, but you could see that he was impacted by it. But if you make that known, like with my Uncle Jerry, that's all he could provide for the family. So then people only call you for that. Then at the same time, you can't get mad if you just automatically are that only person. So in order to receive thanks, you have to be willing to give thanks too. Next is discomfort with vulnerability. So discomfort with vulnerability. Gratitude implies dependence or receiving, which some view as weakness. So if you've done something for someone before, and this whole backpack shit that's happening now, anyway, or it's time, holiday season to come, we're going to give everybody a family a turkey dinner or something, and you see it on movies and television, you do something for somebody and they're ungrateful because they're down on their luck. And you're like, you should be grateful. I just gave you a turkey dinner. You should be grateful. And it's like, well, no, I don't. You only gave me a turkey dinner because you feel sorry for me. So, and then you wanted to put it on TikTok too. So fuck you and your turkey dinner. I don't want it. And avoiding thank you protects the ego from vulnerability. So sometimes people push it out the way and say, fuck it, because I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to be the person that needs a turkey dinner. I don't want to be the person that actually needs to recover because I was a drug addict and now I got to go into rehab and now I don't have no clothes or nothing and I got to start all over. So that's part of it too, because for some people, it means that you are vulnerable because you need help and you are dependent on someone else. I struggled with that for a long time because I'm like, I can do this myself. I can do this myself. And I'm like, no, you need help. And so help others is one of the 74 principles of real leadership, but you also have to be receiving of the help. Now, part of the reason why I didn't like people helping me, because my mother did something for you, you was going to remember, you was going to have to know that she did it because she was going to keep reminding you. She, up until I stopped talking to her 3 years ago, I went to driver's training right when I turned 15. Once I got a permit, my sister was 3 years older than me. You could drive with somebody 18 in Michigan. So we had to run all my mother's errands. So I've been running errands and driving for her since I was 15 years old. And I mentioned that to her right in 2021 or something like that. And her response was, I said, I've been driving for you since I was 15. I paid for you to go to driver's training. I'm like, that was over 30 years ago. But okay, we go. So just because you paid $55, $100, whatever it was, for me to go driver's training, I owe you for the rest of my life because I had to drive. That don't even make sense. So I learned very quickly, don't ask her for anything because she is going to remind you, and that caused me to not ask for help when I actually needed it from other people because I got programmed that if she gonna give it to me, I'm gonna have to hear about it. So keep it. I remember when I was going into the Army and I needed a vehicle, and so because I was going in as an officer, we were working. We just go to Travis to get all our cars, and I was on the phone with Travis, and it was a choice between a 1996 Chrysler Cirrus fully loaded or a Neon. And so I told him on the phone, and I said, listen, if I can't qualify on my own for that Chrysler Cirrus, put me in the Neon, because the last thing I'm about to do is ask my mama to co-sign on anything. And fortunately, everything went through, and I got the Chrysler Cirrus, the Cirrus LX with the stuff on and everything. But I was like, no, because I knew being vulnerable. Every time I've been vulnerable around her, this lady has taken complete advantage of the situation, remind me, control, and all of that. And so that's why you just say, nah, keep it. I'm good. I don't want it. Nope, not at all. Next is poor social conditioning or upbringing. And this may never have been taught to people the importance of expressing gratitude. And also from a cultural or familiar norms may downplay verbal appreciation. And like I said in Detroit, your weak ass over there saying thank you. Look at that joke over there saying thank you. So you grow up saying this mine, I'm getting mine, you owe me, I'm not going to say thank you. Thank you means that you're weak, and so you don't say thank you. And look at all of the neurological lack that takes place because you didn't learn how to say. There are 5 brain regions impacted by not saying thank you over and over again. And the biggest thing is that you become emotionally flat. Next is number 5, and so it's cognitive overload or distractions. When mentally preoccupied, the prefrontal cortex may skip social niceties. It's not always intentional, just executive function fatigue. And so, if somebody is doing something, I remember working at Frito Lay, very toxic environment, union environment, 55,000 square foot warehouse, 92 routes, got to go out every day. And I could be running, catching something, the system is down, the truck is down, and all of that. And somebody will say something or do something, and then I'll move past it and then realize, damn, I didn't say thank you. Now I got to go back and say, you know what, thank you for that. I apologize. The system was down. I had to go get this truck. When I was running the traffic center, the load needed to go out. This person ran out of hours. So sometimes it's just your brain in that moment has so much going on in the prefrontal cortex that it misses being able to say thank you. And when you recognize that, go back and right that wrong. Number 6 is shame or embarrassment. So some avoid thank you out of feeling or sounding awkward, especially if you are socially anxious. And this is linked to the amygdala's activation, so the avoidance factor of that. So if you're a person that doesn't really talk, and as I mentioned before, from 0 to 11 years old, I didn't really talk to people. I was just over there sucking my thumb like, I got to get the hell out of this situation. This is just crazy as hell. So I didn't talk. So in that point, if somebody gave me something, but not in the household I grew up in, but if I had grew up in a different household, as shy as I was, I probably wouldn't have said thank you just because I'm like, ooh, how do you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It could have came out as a question. So again, in summary, the reasons why people avoid saying thank you is number 1, lack of emotional awareness. Number 2, entitlement or ego. Number 3, discomfort with vulnerability. Number 4, poor social conditioning or upbringing. Number 5, cognitive overload or distraction. And number 6 is shame or embarrassment. So the brain insight is not saying thank you may reflect an underuse of social emotional brain circuits responsible for empathy, reflection, and reward. And over time, this can blunt social connections and emotional growth. Is it ego or to counteract the ego? To counteract the ego. Darion, did you answer your question or do I need to answer your question? I say thank you and please all the time. Then good, that's great for you. So you will be releasing your own natural dopamine and serotonin release when you do that, and you do it from a sincere place. Okay, so what questions do you have about why people avoid saying it, the instances where it can occur, and if it's clear? And so your mom is one of the people who are emotionally flat. And we're coming around third. Okay, so any questions regarding why people avoid saying thank you before I go into the last section, which is the gratitude circuit? Can I summarize it? Yes, I can. So basically what happens is neurologically, there are times people are either trained by their environment not to say thank you. Me growing up in the hood, people don't say thank you because they feel vulnerable. You might be giving somebody might be down on their luck, and so you donate some things to them, some clothes or something, and they can't say thank you because they remember a time when they didn't need basically a handout. Sometimes you're busy, and so you're just moving really fast, and you just in that moment you have cognitive overload, and so in the executive function, so you just miss saying thank you. And then sometimes you don't say thank you because you got a big ass ego or you're entitled, like my sister. As you know, Nola, my sister doesn't really say thank you often. It's like she might have a coronary infarction or something if she says thank you. So, or John, or my nephew, if they don't say thank you, it is an entitlement. He locked up right now and got the nerve to be calling people asking for money on his books and everything. It's an entitlement. It's like, dude, you're in jail. You don't eat what you got. You don't deserve ramen. And plus, you're a bad crook, so you really don't deserve ramen. Anyway, and so those are the reasons why the brain naturally will not be wired for thanking people. And so let me know if that's clear to you now, Nola. So those are reasons why people avoid saying thank you. And then that connectivity in those 8 regions of the brains never get wired. So the neurons don't fire, they don't wire, and then they miss out on all of the benefits of what happens when you consistently say thank you. Okay, great. All right. So here are brain-based activities grounded in neuroscience to help strengthen your gratitude circuits and increase your natural use of thank you in daily life. Your natural use. So not thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But like, woo, thank you, man. I promise you, we're glad y'all here. Thank you so much. It's totally different. So it's not routine. That you just say something that's just, oh, that's my automatic response. But as James mentioned, you say it because you sincerely mean it. So here are some things that you can do to increase your gratitude circuit. And that's what thank you is a result of. So people who have high gratitude actually say thank you more. And people who don't have gratitude or low gratitude or struggle to be grateful say thank you less. Okay. And that's just, you can watch and monitor and observe people, and you'll see who's grateful and who's not. Daily gratitude and journaling. So you're going to do some writing. I say journaling, but y'all know that I mean writing. So you're going to write down 3 things you're grateful for and why each day. And this is to strengthen it. If you find yourself already in gratitude, then you don't have to do this. But if you can work on being grateful, you're going to write down 3 things to be grateful for and the why. Because now the brain is saying, oh, I'm grateful for this. Why am I grateful for this? I am grateful for sleeping in a bed. Oh, I'm about to cry. Let me try to do okay. I am grateful for sleeping in a bed every night because there were times when I would be out in the field in the army for 30 days, sleeping on a cot, trying to make sure I don't get bit by something outside. So I'm grateful for a bed. That's why I take care of my bed, take care of my sheets, my mat, everything. I got a comfortable, amazing bed to sleep in, and it's queen size because I had to sleep in twins. I had to sleep with my sister. She used to pee in the bed. So I'm grateful for a dry bed experience that's not on the ground, that's not a cot with a PT mat over top of it. So gratitude, find some things to be grateful for every single day. 3 things and why you are grateful. And how this strengthens your brain is it increases the reward sensitivity and the emotional awareness. And this happens in the prefrontal cortex, the ventral striatum, and your insula. Next, you're going to say thank you aloud each time someone helps. And this is going to help you say thank you intentionally and out loud. So start saying it, because if you are a person that's emotionally flat, you're not even accustomed to saying it. And so by saying it, the neurons are firing and wiring. So you're creating that synaptic connection to create that neural pathway. So start saying it out loud. And this strengthens social rewards and habit circuits. And once you start saying it and you feel that natural release of dopamine, you'll strengthen it and keep doing it. And neurons that fire together, and they stay together. And that happens in the nucleus accumbens and the anterior cingulate cortex. Next is thank you notes. And I still have thank you cards. I used to write thank you notes to people all the time. Currently now you can send a text or email, but thank you notes or text. Send 1 thoughtful thank you message per week to somebody, even if it's to your following. Just anybody, send that to people once a week. And it enhances empathy and social memory circuits. And this happens in the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, and the anterior cingulate cortex. So get those thank you notes out. I literally still have thank you notes from back in the day. And then gratitude, guided gratitude meditation. So for 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to focus on people or moments you appreciate. And I would even add, go get some pictures out, old school, grab some Polaroids from a good time in your life, and just express gratitude for those people. If they're in your phone in the cloud, just go check it out. And what happens is this calms the amygdala and it activates the parasympathetic system. And that's that whole rest and digest and relax system that allows you to just woo-saw and be quite happy and grateful. And the brain regions that this impacts are the insula, the prefrontal cortex, and the vagal tone centers. And the vagal tone center is the brain and body regions involved in regulating the vagal tone, which reflects the activity of the vagus nerve, a key part in the parasympathetic nervous system. So basically, a high vagal tone is associated with emotional regulation, social connection, relaxation, and overall psychological resilience. And so I will be looking into the vagal tone centers more because there's a high and there's a low, and that impacts what it is that you're going to be doing. But I just discovered this term today and this portion of the brain. So we're going to go look at that some more. Next is the gratitude reflection before sleep. So mentally replay and say thank you for one moment in your day before you go to sleep. Your whole objective before you go to sleep is to do a brain dump, get all the stuff out of your head, then sit and breathe, have peaceful calmness so that you can just naturally, that adenosine shows up at the right level, and now you can just naturally fall asleep. And by saying thank you for one moment in your day, most of the time is thank God I got through all Nola's appointments and I'm home safe. Strengthens emotional consolidation and rewiring is what it actually does. And it's for the hippocampus, the insula, and the medial prefrontal cortex. Next is mirror neuron activation. And what happens is you're going to mirror neuron activation. You're going to watch or listen to others express thanks. So you can see it in videos and podcasts. You can watch it if you attend any type of spiritual services. You can do that. You can watch videos of people on their birthdays and other events and just check it out so you can see what happens. So you, especially if this is something that you struggle with, you can mirror it to see what's actually taking place. And this boosts imitation and empathy circuits. Now, you're not going to be imitating it from a fake perspective, but if you have no connection to it, you got to start somewhere so you can see it. Because if you can see it, then you can start to do it. And the systems that are being activated are the mirror neuron system and the anterior cingulate cortex. Finally is thank you cue practice. So you're going to start pairing thank you with small daily cues. And that's what I have in my book. When someone provides a service for you, whether it's a cashier at a grocery store, they're giving you your coffee, someone opens the door for you, whatever it is, say thank you in those small moments, because then that will build you up to bigger moments. And so it builds gratitude as an automatic habit. And this happens again in the basal ganglia, which is where your habit loops are, and your prefrontal cortex. And so the brain-based insight is repeating acts of gratitude wires the brain for positivity, social connection, and emotional regulation. And all of this is essential for your well-being and real leadership. Okay? So what questions do you have about any of the benefits, the activities for you to increase your gratitude circuits? And if you have none, I will do the brain bit for the day. And Lola says, thank you for this lecture, because when I chose to hold a door open for someone and they don't say thank you, I'd be thinking that they're rude. And now I know it's much more. Exactly. Especially if they're thinking about something else and that cognitive, just their prefrontal cortex, they might be running in like, damn, I got to go to the store. I'm on my lunch break. I got to pick the kids up. I got to do all this other stuff and not even be paying attention. So yes, now you know there is a different additional reason or several reasons why that could actually be taking place. Because the first thing is, damn, they didn't even say thank you. I should have hit them with the door. Now, I don't know about saying that. I'm just saying, I feel like that might be how that could go down. Possibly. Not my experience. I'm just thinking out loud. No, I've actually said that. And they ain't even say thank you. How dare you not going to say thank you? I done held this door for you. I should have just went in myself. I could have gotten this door 6 seconds sooner. Okay. And today's brain bit is about gratitude. So gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a brain strengthening practice. Gratitude isn't, I just need to feel grateful. I just need to feel grateful. No, if you don't wire your brain for gratitude, it's not going to happen. It's going to wire and fire short term. It's going to be one of them quick, short neural synaptic connections, and that's it. But when you wire it, you're actually going to be strengthening all of those regions of the brain. Okay. Somehow I just got kicked out of my Gmail. Okay. I have no idea what's happening right now. No, I don't want to update it. Please let me be able to do this today. Are we good? This is why you write stuff down. Okay, let's see if we can get through this before I get kicked out of my account again. Okay, so gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a brain strengthening practice. And the neural insights for this is when you express gratitude, key brain. Okay, we're not going to be able to have this today, unfortunately, because, and see, this is why I write stuff down. My tablet, I might need a new tablet, y'all. I'm not going to be grateful for that. No, okay, let me see if I can do this. I guess I'm going to have to start going back to write the brain bit down. Nope. Okay. I do apologize. My tablet is 4 years old, 5 years old. Okay. So the brain bit for the four regions that are responsible and strengthening, we talked about them, is the medial prefrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate cortex, the ventral striatum, nucleus accumbens, and the hippocampus. And so the brain benefits, as we talked about before, are it boosts mental resilience, it reduces stress and anxiety, it enhances your sleep and well-being because you're going to do it before you go to sleep, and it increases social connection and trust. And so again, three other practices that you could do is a 3-minute daily rewire. Name three things that you're grateful for and why. Visualize each one for 10 seconds. So I'm grateful for my bed. Why? Because I used to have to sleep outside in the field, and now I can actually look at my bed and see that my bed is there for 10 seconds. And then feel the feelings and let your body and let it settle into your body. What does gratitude feel like? And that small habit rewires your brain to notice the good even in hard times. So even in hard times, and that's what has to take place. And when you are wired for gratitude, then no matter what takes place, you're going to be in gratitude. Nelson Mandela sat in prison for 27 years and came out and became the president of South Africa because of his gratitude. My mother hated the show Good Times because she is money hungry. Anyway, she just didn't understand. Her whole point was she liked Jefferson, she didn't like Good Times, and she said, I just don't understand how you can be that happy and be poor. I just don't understand how somebody could be that poor and that happy. Gratitude. That's the bane of my existence as a child. Just couldn't understand it. So when you do that 3-minute wiring, what am I grateful for? Three things, 10 seconds of visualizing it, and then feel it in your body. It allows you to experience gratitude. We have 6.6 billion adults in the world that don't wake up to gratitude every day. Now, I know that some of you are doing it, but when you look at the numbers, the billions outweigh the hundreds, it maybe thousands of people. So that number is much bigger. And that's the issue, is that if you are not wired for gratitude, if you can't say thank you, if you are unwilling to prune the negativity bias and create the positivity bias neural pathway in your brain, then nothing is going to change in the world. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what takes place. You will still have that same dysfunctional brain. What did you learn today? And what did you learn about yourself today? And I might just need to update my app. I think this is on auto. So what did you learn today? And what did you learn about yourself? No. Maybe Google, because it's going to Google. Y'all hear that? Somebody's car alarm. This whole thing is messing up. Okay, Nola said, I learned about myself that saying thank you calms me down because lack of cortisol. Yes. And Regina said, I learned that saying thank you strengthens social connections and is healthy for my brain. That is correct. Uh-huh. And I learned that even today, that the psychiatrists and the neuroscientists are still unwilling to grow past their natural job description, and they want to continue to just focus on doing research to create prescription medication to treat diseased brains and not focus on the rest of the other part of the population that actually has high functioning brains to create better brains. Nola said, I learned that there are a lot of reasons people don't say thank you, and not hearing thank you can set off different things in your brain. Yes. And Lola, you said I already texted above. That is correct. Yeah. So definitely start to say thank you. Know that your thank you is linked to your gratitude. Gratitude is linked to several different brain regions, and it allows you to not be emotionally in a emotionally flat state, but it allows you to regulate your emotions. It allows you to have better relationships, better sleep. As we talked about the benefits, it allows you to be able to be grateful in hard times. It's definitely beneficial. And Regina said, I learned that there are people in my life who don't say thank you because they don't know how, don't want to be vulnerable, and I cannot take their reaction personally. It's not about me. Exactly. It isn't about you. It is about them and their inability. They're not wired for thank you. So if you tell yourself that, now in the instance with the people, the entitlement and ego people, narcissists, I don't know if they can. I'm gonna leave that alone. Narcissists can rewire their brain too. Everybody can. You have the ability to do it. Even people suffering from head injuries and strokes have the ability for the brain to protect that one area that's damaged and wire it differently. So it is about being neurologically wired to do something extraordinary. And so, as I mentioned with the person that was earlier, Darian, I think, was asking the questions, is that your brain is wired to be negative. Your brain is wired for hypervigilance. And so you can seek that out every day, and you will continue to not live a fulfilled, rewarding existence. And you won't be able to do, as we talked about yesterday with the self-actualization and how it starts when you're 9 years old. So you're never going to become self-actualized as long as you have negativity bias wired into your brain. You're never going to be able to reach your many potentials if you allow yourself to be wired with negativity bias and to stay in a hijacked amygdala state. Yes, narcissists got to work real hard. And Regina, I don't really think that they have to work any harder than anybody else. I just think what the psychiatrists have done is they have placed the narcissist out in front. And so we look for narcissism. And I don't believe that narcissists have to work any harder than people with ADHD, people with autism, people with any other neurological deficiency, because at the end of the day, the root cause is negativity bias. So they just wired themselves. And so when you're studying that, that's what people are going to pay attention to. I think the nice people are going to have a harder time wiring their brain because they've wired their brain to be nice and to be likable. So, oh, I don't have to do that. I'm nice. Oh, I don't have to change. I'm nice. Everybody likes me. Why would I do that? But everybody likes me. Because they're nice, they're getting a natural dopamine release from other people. So they just wired their brain to everybody. Oh my goodness, you're so nice. Oh, I just love you. Donna, you so nice. Girl, you so nice. Oh, but she's so nice. She's so nice. So I think that group would actually have a harder time wiring their brain because they are hardwired for I'm nice. But no, because I'm a nice person. Because I'm a nice person. So that cognitive dissonance wouldn't ever, they show up late, they don't keep their word or anything else, but they're wearing their nice cloak, walking around all day long, being nice to everybody. So nobody will be mad at them. So nobody will hold them accountable. I believe that that group would definitely have a harder time than the narcissist, because don't nobody like the narcissist anyway. So they could change. Interesting. Nice people versus narcissists, right? Isn't that interesting? Because we're not paying attention to the nice people. The nice people get away with everything because they're nice. You're very dismissive. If you have a narcissist in your life and a nice person, you're going to be ready to put that narcissist in a chokehold and hug the nice person. And they could both show up late to an event, a family event. But the narcissist showed up like, see, that's what I'm saying. They wasting everybody's time. And here we are, we got to wait on George every time. He don't think about nobody but himself, selfish ass. And then the narcissist shows up with a store-bought red velvet cake. I know I'm late, but I know how much y'all like red velvet cake. So the reason why I'm late is I stopped at Smith's. You know, the Smith's on Sahara, they got the best red velvet cake. And so I knew that y'all was going to want some red velvet cake since Aunt Wilma couldn't be here this week. So that's why I'm late. And so that person is going to get a hug and the other person is going to get the evil eye. But they was both late and they was both 15 minutes late. They could even arrive at the door at the same time. And the narcissist is going to get the evil eye and the nice person is going to get a hug. Lola said, I learned that gratitude strengthens the brain in many ways. I learned that I need to start telling my family thank you more. For example, my son's chores and taking out the trash. Yes, ma'am. Because he's hearing it. And that's giving him his dopamine and serotonin. And it's also allowing you to be grateful that you didn't have to take out the trash and you didn't have to do those chores. So that's how that works. But, and that's just a theory, Regina. I could be totally wrong. It's making sense in my head. But if you look at it from that, I have said nice people get away with so much more. We don't say, oh, we need to hold all these nice people personally accountable to do their jobs. No, well, you know, George, sometimes his work ain't right, but he's still not. He a good guy. He a good dude. Oh man, no, Gina, she good. Katie over there, you know, Caitlin, but she's so nice and she always brings us coffee every morning when she's late. So just something to consider. But we all have our door. We all still need to connect and wire our brains to the 74 principles of real leadership. And that's going to be challenging for everybody because we were not taught how to use our brains. So first we have to learn how to use our brains. Then we have to make those neuropathic connections and strengthen them. And then we have to keep strengthening them while we're overcoming defects of character and while we're overcoming all of the other negative biases, the isms, and that main one, negativity bias. Yes, nice people do get away with stuff and they can be wrong, but do get a pass. Yeah, and they figured that out. So they're just as manipulative and sneaky as the narcissist. They just figured out a different way to be able to not call you back and not keep their word and not show up on time and not do what they said they were going to do and forget things and be technically incompetent and all of that. And they're hiding in plain sight. 100%. So everybody gets held personally accountable to the same standard, which is best. And I don't really care if you're nice or not. Doesn't matter. If you're personally accountable, that overrides and you'll get to all those 74. So if you can conduct your own experiment, Regina, for your nice people, just see how many of the 74 principles of real leadership that they actually use and do versus not. And then you'll be able, that's why I say there's only two types of people in the world, those who hold themselves personally accountable and those who don't. So if you look at it objectively, which is one of the 74 principles of real leadership, now you can see they're mirroring the narcissist. You're definitely mirroring them. 100%. They get together, but nice and cute and kind. You see those little kids and puppies and everything, but I'm so nice. They have, good morning. They give you a hug and everything. And you just feel, oh my goodness, they're so nice. And now you dismiss everything else they were supposed to do and don't produce and damn thing. Yep. Okay. So I believe that it was a very effective live today. I have to be honest. I did not want to do this live. I'm like, say thank you. How in the hell yesterday? I was like, how in the hell is say thank you connected to the brain that I got to show you with all this I'm doing now? Like, how is that going to happen? And then the universe said, just look up the definition. Okay, what's the origin of it? And so it took me down this different pathway. And now you all know when you open the door for somebody to do something and they don't say thank you, that it's neurological. Because I keep saying everything is neurological. And that's what helps me when I don't feel like doing a topic. I'm like, there is some neurological benefit to this topic for you, for other people, for people in the future. So go ahead and understand the importance of thank you. And who knew? 24 hours ago when I realized that this was the one I had to do today, I was like, say thank you. Okay. We'll see how this goes. This is going to feel difficult, but it was actually not as difficult as I thought that it was going to be. And it basically is the foundation for the gratitude neural pathway. So say it a lot, work on it, be grateful, and now you will have this natural release of dopamine and serotonin, and it's going to increase all of these different brain regions and your day-to-day life. So thank you, and I mean it. Thank you for attending today, because you are benefiting and you are helping me continue to further this research, so that in an effort to change the number from 6 billion people not knowing how the brain functions and not being personally accountable to 0 people not knowing how the brain functions and not being personally accountable. If it's God's will, higher power in the universe, I live to be 93, 95, like the people on my grandfather's side of the family, 40 more years, I believe it can be done. Yes, it can. Okay. Thank you for your time this morning. I will be back tomorrow, God willing, higher power in the universe, same time, same place, safe space, different brain t-shirt. You all go off and have a brain-tastic day. Take care.